We're here with a delegate from the Salvation Army. Can you begin by telling us your name and where you're from?
Sure. My name is Major Jessyca Elgart, and I work with the Salvation Army, San Diego County Social Services.
And what is your field of interest?
I work with homeless individuals and anti-human trafficking programs.
Okay. And what has been your most meaningful event or experience that you've had while here at CSW?
There's been quite a few workshops I've attended where I've been enlightened or challenged to look at violence against women in a different way. I attended mostly the anti-human trafficking workshops, or workshops that focused on harm and violence against women and girls that are being trafficked. And one workshop that stands out in particular, we looked at the lies and some of the stories people share in order to justify or normalize this behavior. Those 5 things stuck out from the speaker. She talked about how one of the lies are when talking about pornography or art or media or print or just even the selling of sex. It's a freedom of expression. We in America have the Bill of Rights, and our first bill is the freedom of speech, and very often we tell ourselves that I have the right to say what I want, do what I want, go where I want, regardless of how it harms another person. And I got to thinking about when I was growing up looking and studying about the Bill of Rights. I remember there was a clause in there that talked about you can't say something such as fire in a crowded theater and then everybody will get trampled. You can't claim, well, I was just using my freedom of speech, because your speech actually caused so much harm to all those people. And I have to say that I think that we should maybe apply that exemption of the law when it comes to quote freedom of speech and talking about pornography as well as trafficking of persons, because it does harm others and it's very harmful. Another lie that we tell ourselves is no real harm was done. Nobody was killed or injured. They kind of say, well, you know, they weren't really harmed from the sex, and they got paid, so it's okay. And I just have to say that there's a story, there's a history behind each girl, and or even child. When human trafficking happens, and I'm talking about sexual trafficking at this point, when it happens, the degradation, it's the wrong word, the demeaning behavior, it just kind of lowers your self-worth and self-image, and that is harmful. And there's lots of psychological and trauma that goes along with being a trafficked person, or being stuck into and being forced into horrible worlds that no one would ever want to, coerced into them. And so there is harm. It might not be a physical abuse, but there's plenty of psychological abuse. I talk about what one idea of there's no real harm is talking about Polanski. He committed this crime many, many years ago in America, and since then he's gone on to make great films that many people have seen, won awards, but if he were to come back to America, he would be arrested. And people argue that no harm is now. I mean, it was so long ago, why should we punish him? Because now we're only hurting him when it was just so long ago. And I believe that's a lie that we tell ourselves. Probably the one that you hear most often, especially referred to Latin people or the French, are, well, he's only human, it's his Latin lover. Or Frenchmen are great lovers and they have many, many women. And that's just false. Anyone can be passionate, impulsive, and can be loving, but that doesn't mean that criminal behavior, abuse, violence should be acceptable. Where you live, where you come from, doesn't make you more susceptible to violence, and it doesn't make violence okay just because there's a culture that says it's okay to be rough and abusive. And another lie that we tell, that some of the perpetrators of violence, sexual violence, will say is, oh, it's a conspiracy against me. They're trying to harm me. And you can see this in the Berlusconi case, where he is voicing through media, America's just trying to ruin my name. Other countries are saying bad things. It's all a conspiracy. It's not true. Everybody's out to get me. You see that all the time when people are trying to deny the truth. And then I think most importantly is the lie we tell ourselves when we ourselves have been part of violence, whether it's sexual violence or any other kind of violence. We don't want to create a scandal. We don't want to be the person that dies at the stake because we stepped up and said something. We don't want to lose our jobs. We don't want to make life difficult for our families, and so we don't have a voice. And I'm very honored to be here at this conference, this commission, this event, to know that I have a voice as well as so many other people, and yeah, that I have a voice and I can share it, and I'm honored to be here and to share with you all.
All right, thank you for using your voice here at the Commission, and thank you for your experience and the insight you've given us on trafficking and your thoughts